Happy end of the 4th of July weekend, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Sunday Night Football with Bengal Jim and Friends. We have somebody missing on our screen right now. James from Indianapolis is on vacation with his family somewhere in upstate New York. He's having some connection issues right now, so he's going to try to join us here at some point, but he's been the last half an hour, 45 minutes trying to figure out this connection issue. So we don't have James on the screen right now, so the important people are here. Don't tell James that, Jamie, all right? But we have, obviously, my other partner in crime here is Jamie from, first of all, how's Canada Day? Happy Canada Day.
Oh, thank you. Happy, what is it, 4th of July?
That's right.
You guys call it America Day or just 4th of July?
4th of July, brother. 4th of July.
And it was good. It was weird this year. It was on a Wednesday, which is kind of weird, kind of in the middle of the week, but it was a good time. How was your July? That was yesterday, right?
It was hotter than hell all weekend. It was great. It was all good, man. So it was a good time. But so every week we do Where's Jamie at in Canada? So this week we've got Jamie from Bacon Cove, Newfoundland.
Hey.
I have no idea where that is, Jamie. He's really from Brantford, Ontario, but where is Bacon Cove, Newfoundland?
Yeah, Newfoundland's on the coast, down by Nova Scotia, near Nova Scotia. So, yeah, not even close to me, but I got some family down there. I got a couple of Newfies in the family, so that's cool. You're getting close.
All right, we were in Pickle Lake, Ontario last week, so we're getting closer to you at least.
Based on James' internet connection, I'm pretty sure he's in Pickle Lake today. Couldn't get his team north.
Well, hopefully James can get on here with us, but just kind of let you know what's happening today, guys, on the show. First of all, I appreciate everybody joining us on a holiday weekend. Marissa Contipelli, the Bengals team reporter, will be joining us. Very excited. We've had players since draft night. We've had players on the show every single night. We had an opportunity to get some other players on, but we decided to go in another direction. And I think there's some great conversations that we're going to have with Marissa that we'd like you guys to be engaged with through our chat areas on Facebook and YouTube. So we'll go to Marissa here in a little bit. We have obviously our fan of the week. Everybody's out of town, it seems like. Marissa just came back in town from her family in Cleveland, back in Cincinnati right now. Our fan of the week, AJ Smith, who lives in Texas but is in with some family in Chicago. So he'll be dialing in here from Chicago in here in a little bit. And we have a great History 101 segment, man. We're gonna talk about one of probably the top 10 regular season games, importance-wise, in my opinion, games in Bengal history that just kind of got buried. And we'll talk about that game and the importance of that game. It was opening day in 1988. So we'll talk about that game here a little bit on our Bengal History 101 segment. And then we'll finish up the show as we always do, getting your engagement on our question of the week. So I guess, you know what, I told Marissa we had a hard stop. I promised I'd keep her to that 20 minutes. So we've got her until 8:25. So Jamie, let's go ahead and bring on Marissa, if that's okay.
Here we go.
Hello, guys.
Marissa.
Hello.
I know you were so excited. You were so nervous about your backdrop because I know you just came back home from Cleveland. You're back to your normal backdrop. It's beautiful.
I am. Thank you. I have all my Bengals apparel and memorabilia behind me. So yeah, back from that city up north, and wanted to make sure I was back in Cincinnati to join you guys tonight.
We appreciate it, Marissa. So Jamie on the screen here. I told you. I think I just sent a message to you that our other partner in crime here is having some connection. He's in upstate New York right now with his family on vacation, so he may come on in the middle of this. But Jamie here from Canada comes down and tailgates, and he's a season ticket holder and has been coming down to games for many, many years, lives in Ontario. He has a backdrop he was very nervous to put on. I told him, we're going to ask you if it's not appropriate, we're going to take it off. But go ahead and put the backdrop on, Jamie, see if Marissa's okay with it.
Yeah, I got her back.
Oh, gosh.
Starting the Canadian fan club up here for you.
That is So funny. Hey, if you want to rock that, I have no problem with it.
See,
but
I told you she
it's
wouldn't care.
completely up to you if you actually want to like have to stare at 3 of my faces now on the screen.
That's great. He did not want to do that at all, Marissa. I just want to let you know. So,
Oh, I love it.
all right. So, proper introduction here. So Marissa was the Bengals' first-round media draft pick out of The Ohio State University in 2018. So I'm used to introducing players, Marissa, so I had to do some sort of draft pick for you there. But Bengals team reporter, behind-the-scenes coverage. Man, if everybody, you have to follow her some source of social media. But, man, the draft day preview stuff was outstanding. The combine stuff. I mean, a lot of stuff you never used to get on Bengals social media. And Marissa, we're excited to have you. Thank you so much for being with us. And you do one hell of a job. And we're all Bengal fans that love watching and seeing you and all the behind the scenes stuff you give us all the time.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. I can't believe it's been 2 years already. I'm going to be going into my 3rd season with the team. And that's just something I try to do, is that I know I'm in those opportunities that fans don't always get to see. So I really try my best. I need to do a better job of it at times. Sometimes it gets a little too hectic behind the scenes, but trying to bring those sights and sounds and experiences that fans might not normally get to see. And I've been really proud of our social media team and our digital team and the steps and strides we've taken over the last 2 years. And I'm really excited for what we have in store heading into this year. And hopefully we can even ramp it up a little bit more and give fans even more exclusive access.
Yeah. Well, Marissa, you and the rest of the social media team have been killing it for the past couple of years. It's been awesome. It's been a lot of fun seeing just the old, what people would traditionally think of the Cincinnati Bengals organization has totally been reformed over the last few years of the social media team. What's that been like? I mean, what's the transformation? You're kind of on the ground floor in some of this stuff, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting, honestly. We've gotten a little bit more of a creative kind of free form to try new things and to kind of test the waters a little bit. But one of the biggest things is we've really gotten the buy-in from the players and coaches. So they're the ones that are giving us some of the access and the leeway and okay to do some of the things that we're doing. And of course, this year when we had that first round draft pick, I mean, the content kind of spoke for itself around Joe Burrow. So that was an exciting time too. And so I feel like we're really trending in the right direction, and just hope to keep doing as much as we can once training camp starts, and then of course once we get into the season.
Well, great. So I was kind of hesitant. I seen this lady coming down from Cleveland, Ohio, going to be the Bengals media reporter. So
I'm sure you weren't the only one thinking that.
Yeah. Speaking of Cleveland, you're from Cleveland. So in the interview process, did like Katie and Troy and Mike, was that even a question on the application? Are you from Cleveland? Yes or no? I mean,
that's a great question. It was not on the actual application I filled in, but it did come up in my interview. And it was a couple of rounds of interviews with different people throughout the organization, and it came up more than once. But I always told them, I was like, just, please don't hold it against me. I promise I do good work and I'll be committed to the team and everyone here. And so thankfully they took a chance on a Cleveland girl. And I mean, I feel like the city has embraced me, and I thank all the fans for doing so. And I mean, it's been a great 2 years, and just looking forward to year 3. I don't know what else to say. I'm just so excited, just everything we've been doing and to go into this season.
So Jim was talking about how there's been some big changes with the social media presence from the Bengals. I think everyone notices that. And then you guys had the studio that was built last year. Can you give us a sneak peek of anything that you guys are planning for fan engagement? Is there anything coming down the pipe you're allowed to talk about?
Oh, gosh. So nothing I can really get too much into. A big part of it is we're kind of waiting to see what our restrictions will be because of coronavirus and the different implementations that the league will be putting on in terms of our access and how much contact we can have with players and how that might change our content strategy. So until we have some more answers with that, I'm not going to say too much. But I know once we do have the guys back in the building, we'll be ramping up the content game and hopefully bringing some flashy, exciting videos, photos, GIFs, the whole 9 yards.
Got it. So there is a trivia question, and we've got to, I'm kind of, I got to keep my eye on the clock here for you, Marissa. So we have a trivia question. We're giving away Cook Sporting Goods has a a Bengals blow-up helmet, big giant balloon helmet that we're giving away. Whoever can name Marissa's all-time favorite athlete, her favorite athlete of all time, you guys can type it in. We're going to continue talking to Marissa. And I don't think there's any way in hell somebody's going to get this unless it's a family member trying to win something. So I would be more than happy to send some Bengal blow-up helmets to Cleveland. I'd send a bunch of them up that way. But so Marissa, I don't know if you've ever kept up with the content in the show. We've been kind of doing this since draft night, and this thing has taken off. We've just had a lot of former players that we've had on. But one of the things we always do is we go back. Last week, for an example, we had Kenny Anderson on. And we always go back and pull some game clips. We pulled a game clip of Kenny from 1971, his first passing touchdown, his first rushing touchdown. And Kenny was amazing, knew details about those games, not just those plays. Then we also played a game clip of Kenny, the first Monday Night Football game in the mid-'70s. So we've got a clip here for you, Marissa. So let's go ahead and play one.
Oh, wow.
Tomorrow is media day, but even before that happens, we already have a little bit of news.
That's right, Aaron. Oregon's wide receiver Darian Carrington was suspended today. He failed a drug test for NCAA violations. Carrington, of course, coming off a career-high 165-yard, 2-touchdown performance in the Rose Bowl. So that's a huge blow for Oregon. Could be an advantage for Ohio State.
And much better news for Ohio State. Urban Meyer saying today that Dontre Wilson and Jeff Hireman both expected to play. We've got coverage for you all weekend long. Special editions of College Game Jam Ohio, 7 o'clock Saturday and Sunday night. Stay with us right here on Time Warner Cable Sports Channel.
Talk about a throwback. Oh my gosh, it's been a long time since I've seen that clip. I'm impressed. I'm impressed.
Here's how it works. We just say, Marissa, talk about that clip. Do you remember it?
I remember it very well because that was my third month working for, at the time it was Time Warner Cable Sports Channel, then switched to Spectrum Sports. And my third month in, or it might have even been my second month in, they had told me, hey, Ohio State is, competing in the college football playoff. We're going to send you to Dallas and go cover the national championship game. And I was just like, that's kind of cool. We can go do that. We can go make shows every night. And so I was such a rookie because that was my first on-air job coming out of college. And it was just such a whirlwind of an experience. I mean, that was the first time I had ever really covered a major sporting event. I mean, we did come off of the Sugar Bowl, so I at least had a little bit of experience going from a Sugar Bowl to then being in Dallas in the massive AT&T Stadium and that show. And oh my gosh, just that is bringing back a lot of really great memories because for anyone who knows me knows that I went to Ohio State. And so getting to then cover the Buckeyes down there that weekend was just one for the record books for me and something that I'm always really going to cherish.
So that was 2015, I think, right? Was that?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you were at the national championship game. How cool is that? So I wanted to surprise you with that clip. I was like, I hope Marissa doesn't get mad, but I was like, I got to share a clip.
Oh gosh, that game, it was unbelievable. Just, I mean, getting to cover the team, one of my favorite teams, it was just such a memorable experience. And I mean, I honestly didn't think they really had a shot in that game for the way Oregon had been playing. And then Ezekiel Elliott goes off the way he does, and just everything that followed, getting to do a show the next day about them actually winning. And I was on cloud nine like that entire time. And that game was probably one of my all-time favorite games ever attending as a fan or a media member.
How cool would that be? Being a fan and then getting in that role in that job and then being down there. I can't even, how cool that had
I
to
will
be.
say it does get tough sometimes because there's no cheering in the press box. So I'll be like, oh, like, yes, like, oh, excited. And like all that. I mean, I do that at Bengals games too. And like when like good plays happen because you kind of have to like keep your composure. But that time was really tough too.
That's awesome. That is really cool. So we do have some questions popping up here. We'll kind of throw on here just a second. But talk about, I mean, just growing up over the years of different decades, right? Women sideline reporters really weren't a thing. So up until recent history. So talk about the opportunity you're getting and talk about you doing what you're doing. And like, this wasn't something that happened years ago.
You're right. It really wasn't. And even as I was growing up, I always knew I wanted to work in sports, but I didn't know exactly what in sports I wanted to do. And so I kind of figured it out my senior year of high school. I took a journalism class. I would do readings at my church. So I was a pretty decent public speaker and kind of just fell in love with it from that angle first. And then that's when I kind of really started exploring the sports broadcasting side. And those were the days where Erin Andrews was really kind of one of those trailblazers for my generation, where she was really breaking so many barriers and becoming one of the real big faces for women on sidelines of NFL games. And so obviously, like most girls growing up who want or aspire to be sports broadcasters, always look up to her. And so I'd always kind of followed her career path, and then gotten to see other women like Sam Ponder and of course the Holly Rose, and just fell in love with wanting to tell those experiences and tell those stories from the sideline to help shape the game broadcast, and to tell viewers what the play-by-play and color commentary guys might not be able to hear from wherever they're located, whether it's on the sideline, whether they're on the sideline of a basketball arena court or up in the press box for a football game. And so I kind of took to that, and it's I've really embraced the opportunity I've had with the Bengals, because last year I got to do 2 sideline games for our preseason broadcast, and I had the time of my life with those games. And I mean, there were a little bit of jitters because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is kind of like an NFL stage, and it's a little different from my experiences that I had at Spectrum Sports, even though it was still the college level that I would be doing sideline for. It's a different stage, and so I've just been excited. It's something I've always kind of wanted to do. And, I'm just trying to embrace every opportunity, and every time I can kind of get my foot in the door here with this team to take advantage of something like that.
Yeah. Have you had a chance to meet Erin Andrews?
I have not. I wish. That's on my bucket list.
All right. It's coming, I'm sure. Go ahead, Jimmy. Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's, it's funny as we go back and look at all these clips from the late 60s, the Bengals in the late 60s, the 70s, the 80s, even the 90s. You see all these sideline reporters. There was no women doing any of that. It was a bunch of old dudes. I mean, it was just, but it's just so. Exactly. It's funny to see. It's just, it's awesome to see it. And we're very happy for you, Marissa, doing what you're doing. And I totally was just playing with you about Cleveland. I have a bunch of friends in Cleveland area. So sorry we gave you a hard time about that, but
I'm used to it. Well, and I think, I know we were talking a little bit about it, but when I was in Cleveland over the weekend, I was out for a bike ride Saturday morning before going over to my grandparents for a 4th of July cookout. And, I had my Bengals tank on, I had my headphones, I'm riding my bike on the path, and 2 separate times I had I'm assuming Bengals fans kind of wave me down, and I would like take my earbud out and they'd be like, "Hooday!" And I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, we're in Cleveland. This is awesome." So I was so excited that it was 2 separate times I was getting hoodays up in Cleveland. I thought it was great. So Bengals fans around the country, around the state of Ohio, you guys rock. Absolutely made my 4th of July hearing that.
That's a good
That's
sign.
awesome. That is awesome. All right. So we've popped up about 4 or 5 of the first names that popped up, and let's see where people are guessing your favorite athlete here, Marissa. There's a bunch of them. I think somebody has it right, but we're going to do the first 4 or 5, and then we'll kind of keep going.
Yeah, Ham.
Nope.
Hurst Molman.
Can I comment on?
Yes, go. Sorry.
Okay. I was gonna say, yeah, I mean, I've always admired Mia Hamm. I played soccer growing up, but that is not correct. Bernie is a good guess. I'll give you that, but it's not him either.
Hold on. Go back to. Do you even know who this? Go back one more. Horst Muhlman. Do you even know who Horst Muhlman is?
I feel.
It's okay. It's okay. Most. This is whoever Todd is a really old Bengals fan from. He's actually from Oakland, California. He's one of our fans of the week a few weeks ago. He was a Bengals kicker in the early 70s.
Oh,
so,
I had no idea.
I am so sorry. I do not know who Horst Muhlman was, so I'll be looking that one up.
This year, AJ, Carlos.
It's so I love all of our Bengals players. They're all my favorites. And I get asked that question all the time. Who's your favorite Bengals player? And it's like, honestly, I really can't answer because I work with all of them almost on a daily basis in season. And it's like, they're all so great. So it's really hard to choose. So I would never be able to pick one of them.
Well, here's a good guess. LeBron, thinking Cleveland connection.
I was waiting for someone to guess that. I love LeBron. He is absolutely one of my top 5 all-time favorite athletes. He isn't number 1. I'm still a little hurt that he left Cleveland. I don't know if I'll ever really get over that. I understand it. He brought us a championship, so I appreciate him for that and all he's done, but just not LeBron.
All right. Well, we'll stop him there. We'll keep going here in a minute. But So there's a bunch of them in there. There's kind of some funny ones in there. So it's there's some funny ones in there.
That's
But
question here from the audience, Jimmy.
yeah, you have a question in our chat area you want to pop up?
Before we get into questions, though, Scott says they need to lock her down for your contract. So if you want to take to work tomorrow, you can do that.
Marissa, you want upfront guaranteed money, you know?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I wish it worked like how players' contracts work, but unfortunately it doesn't.
Right.
Okay. So Steve and Jeff ask, who's been your favorite player that you've got an interview?
This is another good one that I've gotten from time to time, and I'm sorry, Steve, I'm not gonna be able to give you just one answer. I'll go with Bengals players because, we'll start with the Bengals players, and CJ Uzama is just such a fun personality. He's just so much fun to do like those fun, quirky interview segments with. So he's always been one of those guys in the locker room where if you want to have a good interview, you're always going to go to CJ. But outside of the Bengals, like all time, I would probably have to say, so I grew up swimming competitively and have always been really big into USA swimming, love Olympic swimming, grew up watching Michael Phelps, Ryan Lochte. And so when I was a sophomore in college, Ohio State hosted a really big swimming event. It was a Grand Prix, kind of an Olympic qualifier. And so I was there as part of our student media covering the Grand Prix event, and I got to do a one-on-one interview with Natalie Coughlin, who's an Olympic gold medalist and someone I've always loved watching. So I know she's not a big-time name, but it was like such a unique memory for me that I'm always going to remember that I got a one-on-one interview with her. And then my third one I'm going to throw out is LeBron, even though it was one of those media scrums and I'm like literally like this because he's so tall and I'm not that tall. I'm like average height. And so obviously anytime you're around LeBron, whether it's a one-on-one situation or around 30 other media members, like getting a chance to even like ask like a 5-word question to him is pretty cool. So sorry, I kind of wasn't able to give one answer.
No, I can't imagine. I mean, in your situation, how you would pick one. Jeez, well, Pete.
So sort of sticking to that same theme, what about who's been your hardest Bengal interview?
Ooh. Oh, that's a tough one. Who's been the hardest Bengal interview? I mean, anytime you have to interview any player after a loss is always tough. And so I always give those guys a lot of credit for speaking with media after a loss, especially when it's a tough loss and a close loss. But gosh, I mean, all those guys have been great. I don't want to like cop out and take the easy way out, but I really don't have an answer for that.
But that's true, though. It must be hard to do your job after a loss, especially a very lopsided loss, to go out and say, what happened?
Yeah, right? And that's why I always give, like, there's very rarely have I gone up to a guy and they haven't wanted to do an interview. It's only happened a couple times, and I've understood the situation depending on what the game outcome was. So, I mean, I give those guys a lot of credit. Like, no one wants to be in that position, having to have microphones shoved in your face, trying to speak about, you know, why you lost the game in the fashion and the way you did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Jamie, pop up a few more on there, a few more of the names. I think somebody has guessed it correctly, Marissa, but we'll keep throwing out some different names.
Oh, Mark Price. That's another really good guess. I appreciate everyone going back to the Cleveland roots here. Ooh, Peyton Manning.
Go ahead, Marissa.
Can I? Okay, I didn't know if I could like say so. Peyton Manning is the correct answer. Yeah, I know that seems so random, but I have a reason why. So, as everyone I'm sure is aware, when you grow up in Cleveland and grow up a Browns fan, you don't always get to see a winning football team out on the field on Sundays. So growing up, I was kind of looking for another team to follow. And my aunt just happened to be an Indianapolis Colts fan for pretty much that same reason. And she was a fan of Peyton Manning. And so I kind of started to follow the Colts. They were a team that was pretty close by distance. And then I don't know what it was. I just started following the Colts and, you know, liked Peyton Manning and his playing style and his approach, and thought he was a really great player and kind of clung on to him back at an early age. And it's just kind of, he's always stuck. And I stayed a Manning fan when he went to Denver, and, you know, was excited when got to watch him play in person one time in Cleveland when the Broncos played the Browns, and just got to see him win a Super Bowl. I wish I would have been there. That would have been like amazing. But getting to watch on TV was pretty decent.
That's awesome, because there's certain players I cannot stand. Ben Roethlisberger, all those guys, right? There's certain guys you just can't hate. Peyton Manning's one of them. I mean, just such a good dude, man. I can
especially
see
with
that
the commercials. He's so funny.
he's hilarious.
The game for sure.
And so that was I got to kind of meet Peyton. I didn't want to say him as one of my favorite interviews, because I didn't actually get to interview him. But since Nationwide is one of his sponsors, back in Columbus, they have the Nationwide Memorial Golf Tournaments every year. And so I think this was back in 2017. He was one of the celebrities playing in the Pro-Am the day before the tournament. And so I made sure I told my boss, I was like, please let me go cover this. I will I will do whatever else you ask me to. I have to go cover this and go see Peyton Manning. And so I was there with a camera guy, and we had so many media members wanting to, go after Peyton after he was done playing in the Pro-Am to try to talk to him. So what they did was a walk and talk interview with media, which is never a fun thing for media. It's one of the hardest things to try to interview and talk to an athlete while you're walking and trying to keep focus with the camera. And so I'm on Peyton's side, and I'm trying to get my mic in to try to ask him a question. And this is one of only 2 times I've ever fangirled in my life. And I was so excited. I was able to ask him a question. Couldn't tell you what the question was. Couldn't tell you what his response was. But I was so excited. And I accidentally hit his arm with my microphone flag. And it was just one of those things where I was just my eyes were stars in my eyes. And I was so just excited to see my favorite athlete was inches away from me. And I kind of felt bad I hit him with my microphone, but
that's great. We should get if I could have found video of that, Marissa, I would have played that one.
That would have been great. I don't know if there's video out there of that.
So it's funny. Some of the other names that have been guests have been Serena Williams, Eric Metcalf, Gino, Reggie Langhorne, old Cleveland ball player. There's a bunch of other ones in there too. So congratulations, Chris actually was our fan of the week last week. So
she's having a good run here.
She's having a good couple weeks for sure. For sure.
I want to ask you before we let you go. How are you feeling about this year?
I am feeling really good about this year. Like everyone else, I cannot wait to just see the guys back out there on the field. I want to see Joe Burrow slinging passes to AJ Green, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins. I'm just so excited to see what Zach Taylor is going to bring to this offense in year 2, now that he kind of has more of his personnel in places that he wants. And then, you guys look at it, our defense seems completely revamped. And I think we have one of the best defensive lines, at least in the AFC. I think that's going to be really one of our strong points. So I cannot wait. I just want training camp to get here and for the season to get started to really see what this team is going to be capable of, because I'm sorry, I think we're going to be much better than national media is kind of giving us credit for. I don't know if they really realize how many changes were made this offseason. And then you add in Jonah Williams, who didn't get to play his first year. You bring in a healthy AJ Green. Those are 2 huge playmakers back on this offense. I just can't wait. I'm just so excited.
All right. So the last question, and this is from, I think, somebody asking it, but I'll go first. They're asking what we think the record is going to be. So first, I'm a 16-0 prediction guy right now. We're not going to lose a damn game. So what is your prediction for our Bengals this year?
I love that. The optimist in me is right there with you. I would say 16-0. A little bit more of a realistic number, because we know how rare it is to go 16-0 in the NFL. I'm going to go 8-8. I'm feeling 500 is a very attainable and realistic number for this team. I could change that once I actually see Joe Burrow in person working with the offense and how the defense is going to look. But without seeing anything out there camp-wise, I'm going 500.
Yeah, it's tough. You've got a lot of new pieces. A lot of upgrades at different positions, new players for the Bengals, a new quarterback. You've got a rookie who was drafted last year, who's coming in and start at left tackle this year. They haven't seen play a snap yet. A lot of question marks. But it's obvious to all of us, Marissa, the arrow is pointing up big time for the organization and the team. And it's not just, this is from the outside looking in, right? It is so fun to see you, positive vibes, the things that you're talking about. I love it. And it's not just you though, Marissa. It's everything going on in the organization. This off season was amazing. $150 million in free agency, mostly spent on defense where we had our biggest holes. I think to absolutely nail the draft, I'm telling you that Akeem Davis, the kid, I'm telling you that kid's going to be a hell of a linebacker. He's going to contribute this year. He was one of my favorite players before the draft started. I think they nailed the draft. I think Zach Taylor walking in last year really didn't have much of a chance going into the year last year. I think this year there's more his stamps on this team more. We're excited about it. We appreciate everything you're doing, Marissa, and it's fun to follow you and get the behind the scenes stuff and your great personality and the positive vibe you continuously give. Even during a rough stretch last year, it was you were a sunshine in a dark time as we were going through the rough times, Marissa. But we really appreciate you and thanks so much for coming on with us today.
Well, thank you. And I hope you and the rest of the fans know that this wouldn't be possible without any of you. And I think you guys do such a great job. I've really enjoyed watching some of these Sunday night tailgates. It's fun to see you guys help bringing this community and the fan base together in a time where we're all so far apart and distant from one another. So you guys do phenomenal work. And, you know, all of this wouldn't be possible without the amazing fans behind us.
And you are always welcome at the Bengal Jim tailgate.
I hope to make it in person one of these times. I'm really hoping for one Sunday. It's tough sometimes with doing the in-game hosting. We do a lot of pre-production beforehand, but we'll
do a Saturday night tailgate for you. That's okay.
and just now that you know, you have a Canadian up in Brantford, Ontario, who is the president of the Marissa Contipelli fan club. You finally get to meet him. So, Marissa, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, guys.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Okay. It's the wine that's making my face go red, okay?
Yeah, no, it's not, dude. So everybody that's out there right now that maybe didn't tune in the first couple minutes of the show tonight. So Jamie was pretty excited about having Marissa on, and we did his backdrop, and he did not want to put that backdrop on. So we asked Marissa when we popped up if it was okay. She loved it. She was dying laughing. But
I'm not the creepiest fan that she's encountered.
You're far enough away. She's good, man. Oh man. So real quick on that, the Bengal blow up helmet, Chris. I think I might have your contact information somewhere, but shoot me a direct message in Facebook and or Twitter, or even text me if you have my phone number, and just give me your address. And the correct answer was Peyton Manning. And you know what? It was interesting. All the people that she has talked to through, being up in Cleveland. I think she interviewed folks with the Cleveland Indians, the Ohio State Buckeyes, and, I think she was with the Columbus Crew. And I mean, Peyton Manning was her favorite athlete. I think that's a lot of people's answer, though.
You know what I found interesting? So when she was talking about having that opportunity to just be in the same room as Peyton and ask a question and not remember what the question was, what the answer was, it's cool how fandom works. I mean, here's someone who works with the team that we're fans of. There's players on that team that we have that same reaction. Like, she gets to talk to Joe Mixon. She gets to interview Joe Burrow. We're sitting here going like, that would be crazy. And then her talk about how it was to meet Peyton Manning and how it's just crazy how fandom works. It's just that's cool.
Yeah, she was awesome. I totally didn't expect anything else from Marissa, but just being a rock star, because that's what she is. She's awesome. She's fun to watch, and she's pretty damn good at what she does. She's damn good.
Yes, sir.
So good job, Katie, Troy, and Mike Brown for hiring her. Great pick. I probably wouldn't have interviewed her if I knew she was from Cleveland, but worked out pretty good, man. She's a good one.
Backdrop up because it was officially endorsed by Marissa. So
That's right. All right. So one more. We had this 4th of July weekend, we had a little thing that we kind of rolled out last week, and I didn't post all of them. We had maybe about 30 to 40 direct messages and some posts tagging us, and I didn't get to repost or tag them all, but I did put a lot of them on social media. So we said, come up with the most creative or just the best koozie, Bengal Jim koozie pick. And over the 4th of July weekend. So this is a pick. We had a bunch of selections. This one right here is Nick Green, who lives in Nashville, Tennessee. Him and his family were in Hatteras, North Carolina, I think is where that's at. And they were deep sea fishing. And that's the one that he had sent to me. But he had some other ones with some big fish, but he didn't have the koozie with it. So, but congratulations, Nick Green. You win a Sunday Night Football with Bengal Jim and Friends shirt, and you also win we have our new scarf mask that we had just rolled out on our team, our shop as well. So you'll get
a picture of that, but that's the team store, or that's
the
tailgate store. Yeah.
Yep. So one of those shirts is heading your way, Nick, and we'll get you one of those Bengal Jim mask as well. I wore one over the weekend as I went out of the house every now and then. So good stuff. Thanks everybody for having fun with that. There was a lot of good ones. So there was a lot of people having fun this weekend. That's what it's all about. I'd say what our next stop is going to be. Our fan of the week is AJ Smith in the room right now.
Yes, sir. Here we go.
AJ, what's up, big dog?
Hey, what you say, big man? How you feeling?
Good, man. Good. So what's going on? You're in Chicago? You're in Chicago right now?
Yeah, man. I'm pissed because I'm sitting here looking. I'm like, wait a minute. He's got a glass of wine. I went to water because I've been on a boat for most of the day, and I've been drinking. And here's the funny part. So I had a case of 50 West.
Okay.
And it's Chicago. If you've been to Chicago and you know Chicagoans, I mean, I lived here for 20 years. If you know them, then you know everything's about Chicago. And it's like, you know what, guys? You guys don't know beer. You have no idea about beer. Like, oh, no, Cincinnati doesn't have beer. It's like, okay, well, I had some 50 West. I thought, okay, well, I'll have enough left over. Dude, they've gone through it.
Oh, Lord.
It's like, guys, I need one of those because I'm going to be on YouTube. What? What? Like, look, man, I'm a Bengals fan. We're doing the Bengals thing. I look in the cooler and I'm like, really? You guys,
and you know what?
We come back and I'm just like, okay. They're like, well, you know what, man? You need to sober up. So I'm here and I got some water. Sobering up. But I got it. Okay. I got it. I got it, dude. I'm like, well, I had it. I was just like, okay. I said, well, you know what? And then I'm like, wait a minute. Hold up. Steve's got wine? I was like, oh, man. I was about to run back and get me something to drink, but I said, no, that's okay. I enjoyed listening to Marissa, so I said, hey, okay. It's all good. No big deal.
We also appreciate you not putting the bottle of water in the koozie because that's not made.
No. Look. I've been to I've been to the WorldCom twice. You don't put water in the koozie. That's like no. You don't do that. I mean, maybe if it's some type of Cincinnati water, but no. I was just like, no. You know what? I've been drinking all day, so I better get something. So that I don't say the wrong thing.
Hey, I've been drinking all weekend, so that's why I'm not drinking tonight, man. But hey, so AJ, tell everybody. I mean, you're a diehard fan, man. Just tell everybody your story, how you became a fan, your favorite player, whatever you want to talk about.
Born and raised in Cincinnati. I became a fan. Well, the early '70s. I was too young to remember, Greg Cook. Never saw him play. My older brothers would tell me, my dad would tell me, my grandfather would tell me. I heard the story. If Greg Cook. So, my becoming a Bengal fan was, from the early '70s. People who are, I'm going to say in their late 40s to early 50s, maybe you remember in the '70s, the Bengals, you would have I won't say the Bengals. WLW would have a thing for kids, for young boys. And if your parents called in, you would get to go down. They would take a bus and you would go to Wilmington. And they would have about 40 or 50 boys. And we would, jump onto the bus. You basically got to go inside the ropes. So going inside the ropes was really cool. And you got to, basically get autographs, talk to the players. You got to see them go from the dorms in Wilmington over to the mess, to the cafeteria to eat lunch. Mr. Brown would talk to us. There was one year that Mike Brown spoke with us. But the highlight of that was in 1979. We were on the sidelines, and we're sitting there, and the throwing Samoan, Jack Thompson, throws one, and he overthrew it. And I'm on the sidelines, and boom, I caught it. And it was just like, oh wow, I caught it. It's just like, yeah, okay. And it was funny. Everyone, clapped. Yeah. Hey, afterwards, Paul Brown comes over in his little golf cart. Nice catch, kid. And it was like, whoa. Paul Brown told me nice catch. He signed autograph, but he signed the football and gave it back to me. Got it to this day. One of my all-time favorite treasures. It's like, okay, to this day, I have it. So I don't know. There may be a few people that went with WLW that went on that. It was a cool time. It was a very cool time. So for me being a fan, it started basically then. Anybody that has seen my post on Twitter, they know the original 14. Well, truthfully, the original 14 was Sam White, but the original 14 for me is Kenny Anderson. Kenny Anderson to Isaac Curtis was it was majestic, and I have been living and dying with, when I tell people, hey, Archie Griffin didn't fumble against the Steelers. I go all the way back to the 70s. So, you live and die with the black and orange, and it's just, hey, I mean, you remember 81, 82, you remember 89, and, the rest of it, you deal with it. You say, hey, you know what? I'm a Bengals fan no matter what. I love them. And it's always tough when you live outside of the city, and you are dealing with, I mean, the 90s was rough.
Ooh.
The 90s was rough. That was, I mean, to be a Bengals fan and say, you know what? I don't care. That's my team. Yeah, okay. In Chicago at that time was just, it was brutal. It was brutal, but you lived through it. And today, I'm one of the old school guys. Jim, I'm like you. I'm one of the old school guys.
Wait a minute. AJ, you and I don't look old?
We're old school. We're not old. We're definitely not old. It's just kind of like, I mean, but some of the things that we remember, other guys are like, what?
Yeah.
What? I have no idea. I'll put it this way. At the tailgate, I could have won some money, but I said, no, I tell you what, I'll bet anyone here, if you can tell me the last guy to wear a number in the 80s that wasn't a receiver.
Yep.
I was like, hey, I said, you know what? I'll buy you a beer. I was like, not something from there. I'll buy you something, and I'll give you a bottle of scotch. And I said, you can't look it up. And truthfully, even if you Google it, it probably won't come up. I told you who it was the other day, if you remember, Jim. Do you remember who it is?
There was defensive ends that were 88, 89. There was defensive linemen.
Yeah. It was Royce Berry.
Yep.
He wore number 82. He wore number 82, and he was the last one. So when I think of things as far as the Bengals are concerned, there are things when I interact with people on Twitter, it's different. You have, younger people, and they have a sense of, they're not going to like this. They have a sense of entitlement. And it's like, no, if you know the Bengals, you know the way that this franchise works. And once you understand the way that the Brown family runs a franchise, you say, hey, okay, that's who we are. This is who we are. This is what we are. Which is why I'm sure, just like me, Jim, you were shocked. You were like, $150 million in free agent spending? It's like Zach Taylor, do you have something on the Browns? It's like, wow. It's like, wait a minute. He must have pictures of somebody or something. I thought, $150 million? I mean, this is a franchise, we develop from within. And usually to fill holes, it's, okay, no, we're going to get rid of this veteran, the next guy up. We believe in this guy. We had our coaching staff scout this guy. And, the coaches are really involved. So we believe that the next guy up will do the job. And sometimes that's rough for fans because you go, oh, that guy sucks. Oh, no, it's like, no, wait a minute. Give him time to develop. And sometimes it works out. Sometimes it doesn't, but you roll with it. You just say, hey, you know what? It is what it is. So, I mean, for the fans that don't remember Spinney Field, the there are a lot of things that I remember about the Bengals that there's a generation that they're like, who?
Yeah,
What
that's
is he
funny. That's
talking
funny you
about?
said. That's funny you said that, AJ. So one of the things we do on our social media platforms, and obviously on this show, is we talk about Bengal history, and we have a segment on this show that's up after you, Bengal History 101. And you know what? You just gave me a great idea, because Spinney Field would be a great topic, because a lot of folks weren't around when that place was even built, but or when it was
Don't have a
up and
clue.
running. Yep.
Yeah,
But
they
so
don't
let me
have a
let me ask
clue.
you this. Let me ask you this. So you just said your favorite all-time player was Ken Anderson, correct?
Well, I would say Kenny as well as Isaac, because you can't have one without the other.
Ah,
If for anyone who remembers 14, that first year, Isaac wasn't there. And, they had they had Speedy Thomas, and they had Eric Crabtree. And those were guys they had, hey, don't get me wrong, Trump was a tight end and he was a target. But it wasn't until the original 85 came that you went, wow. And I believe that Paul Brown went, okay, that kid out of Augustana, he's the guy. We can win with him. And I believe it got them past, wow, what if Greg Cook? What if? You didn't have to wonder about what if Greg Cook. Kenny Anderson, you realize, okay, this guy he can bring it. He could definitely bring it. And if it weren't for that's the AFC Central. And a lot of
yep.
people, they hear about it, but they don't remember. Those were wars. Those were real wars. The Browns weren't putrid or just horrible. They were competitive. And that was at a time when, you know what? Cleveland wanted to beat Paul Brown. Paul Brown always wanted to beat the Browns. So,
Yep.
those things you just kind of like, wow.
Yep,
So,
I'm with you, man.
like
It's funny. A couple weeks ago, we had that Paul Brown when he first beat the Cleveland Browns. I had that on one of our history segments. But AJ, we're running tight right now. We're running tight. We got to go, man. But hey, look, it means a lot. You taking time to stop drinking and getting off the lake and coming on with us. Thank you.
You come on, hey, you know what? I'm hoping that there's a season, because I'm waiting for that first one, baby. I'm like,
Yep.
hey, we gotta go. We gotta have that. So I look forward to it. It's always fun, and I'll tell any other fans, if you're out there and you haven't been to one of the tailgates, even if you live out of town, you have to come in and go to a tailgate. It adds a whole different level to going to a Bengals game. This past year was my first two, and trust me, even when they lose, I went to that. Well, I was there for the San Francisco game, and it was funny because they got trounced, but it was like tailgate was great. It was just like, I left, and it was like, well, yeah, I know you're pissed. I was like, nah, man, I went to the best tailgate there is. So it was just kind of like, oh well, it's like, we'll give them next time, and even the Jacksonville game. Like,
yeah.
oh,
well, we appreciate it. We appreciate it. It means a lot. Be safe. Thanks for joining us, Big Dog, and hope to see you here soon in the season. Okay.
When the season starts, buddy, I'll be there for the first one.
Yes, sir, man. We'll see you then.
AJ, before I let you go, I have one quick question for you.
Sure.
Do you want to be in my Marissa Contipelli fan club?
My man, like I told you, I'm old school. So if you had James Kennedy, see, that's what Jim and I remember James Kennedy. Okay, that's like, now, Marissa, when she said Aaron Andrews, I thought, oh, man, well, okay, she's like 2 or 3 down the road. Nah, buddy, you got to do your history, okay? We grew up on James Kennedy and Phyllis George. So Marissa's kind of like, hey, she's good, but nah, man, you're gonna have to find someone.
You need to find a vice president.
All right.
You need to find a vice president.
My search for the vice president continues.
Thanks, AJ. See you, buddy.
Cheers,
All
right. Oh my gosh, when he came on, said he was drinking all day. I was like, oh no.
I want to smoke a cigar with AJ at the home opener tailgate. Just saying, if I can come down. It was interesting. Yep. One thing he said I wanted to quickly talk about before we do the history thing.
Sure.
He was talking about old school and the new school. I'm trying. I don't know if you do this on social media and on the fan board, stuff like that. I'm trying to temper the expectations of some of these new fans that come on for Joe Burrow. We draft Joe Burrow. These new fans come on, see us spend $150 million. Guys, that's not how we do this normally. This is different for everybody. So these new fans coming on, they think this is normal. Not normal, man. I mean, it might be the way the team goes going forward. Maybe, I don't know, but spending $150 million and drafting first, we don't do that all the time.
It's cool. I mean, AJ's such a good guy, man. He's, he hasn't lived in Cincinnati in decades, man. He's all over the place. In Chicago right now. He's in Texas. But he came in for a couple games and it's so cool. Like we keep saying, we get to meet all you guys, through the Bengals football. And, without that, we wouldn't know each other. It's just freaking awesome. So let's keep going here. We're actually going to be on time tonight, believe it or not, because this history segment's not going to be extremely involved, but let's go ahead and go to the next segment on here. Our Bengal History 101. I know I lived in the 70s, the first maybe 4 to 6 weeks on this. We did early 80s last week. So we're going to go to a game. I personally rank maybe the top 10 regular season games in Cincinnati Bengal history. I put this one in the top 10. It's a game from 1988, opening day. We know the outcome of that season in 1988. But it's an all but forgotten game in Bengal history, that opening day. So let's go ahead and play this short video clip, opening day, 1988.
Players. So we tried to put a black defensive player with a white offensive player and vice versa, not to create brand new best friends, but to create new friendships and better acquaintances so that when we got down to those goal line stands, everybody knew what was at stake in the other guy's life, and maybe it made us a little stronger team.
On opening day, Sam's theory was tested. Four times the Phoenix Cardinals tried to score from inside the Bengals' 10-yard line. But with the game on the line and the stadium timepiece down to its final ticks, the Bengal defense persevered.
So here we are, right front on this play. Lomax is back to throw. He's in the grass, throws it away, incomplete. And the ball game is over.
Every time we do these clips, if you could see the hair on my arms, it just gives me goosebumps watching this stuff. But that is opening day, 1988. It all started with that character building win led by the defense. They had two huge goal line stands in that game. That one was the game winner. Two goal line stands. I think during that game, the Phoenix Cardinals had 10 to 12 plays inside the Bengals 10 and didn't score once. So you got to look at that. You had the defensive line of Tim Crumry, Jason Buck, Jim Scow, Skip McClendon, and you had Joe Kelly and Reggie Williams as linebackers that were just all over the damn place. They dominated that game. Bengals won that game 21-14. And the reason I say that's, that is a game, you remember the 88 season, you remember the playoffs, you remember the Super Bowl, but it all started opening day in Cincinnati against that Phoenix Cardinals team. And that Phoenix Cardinals offense was legit that year. And our defense really did a hell of a job that day in that 21-14 win. Lewis Billups had an interception. Eric Thomas had an interception. Boomer Esiason went 17 for 26 for 271 yards and 3 touchdowns. And downtown Eddie Brown had 6 receptions for 143 yards and 1 touchdown. Tom Justin, who was going to be on our history segment with us next week, was talking about when you go back and look at this replay that we're doing right now, look at the stunt that was being done on the line to free up Jim Scow, Jason Buck to make that hurried throw by the quarterback in that game. So really big win, defensive. That you think of that year and you think about that offense and Boomer and Eddie Brown and all the weapons, James Brooks and Ickey Woods. Nobody thought about that defense. And that defense set the tone the first game of the year. And that video clip is from an old 1988 season in review. Just took a clip off of that. But it was really cool. I left the start of that when Sam White was he was there for a few years prior to that even. But before that year started, he started rooming players. A black player with a white player, offense with a defensive player and all that. I mean, just to get these guys to know each other more than just on the football field, to know their families, to know them personally, because when you lined up next to that guy, it meant a little more something on the football field, according to Sam. And that paid off. His theory paid off that year, and it started opening day with that defensive stand. So next week, we will have a history segment, and Tom Justin, who we had on a few months back, he's the guy that, him and I have loved Bengal history, and he has extreme passion around it like I do. We're going to partner in some different topics week to week. So he's actually going to be on with us next week as well. So Jamie, do you remember? I mean, how old were you when that game was played in 1988? Were you around?
88. So I was born in 79. So
okay.
I'm still young. Still a youngin'.
Yeah, 10 years old. You really weren't a fan until the early 2000s, right?
Right. Yeah. I was
Okay.
with Carson Palmer. That's unfortunate. I didn't know he's going to turn out to be such a douche. But
True. Okay. Well, hey, that was a very short history segment this week, but I did want to, I think what we're going to do is probably rank our top 10 games and regular season games in Bengal history. We'll kind of hit on those over a period of time as well. But go ahead, Jamie. I'm sorry.
Like I said, that'll be fun to see the rankings of the top 10.
Yeah. It was funny. I think Sports Illustrated did a thing. It was the top 10 plays in Bengal history. But what was funny about it, the person who was doing it did a hell of a job. They do a really good job of what they do in their Bengal coverage. But what they did, their history didn't start until the early 80s. It was like they were showing the top 10 plays. I mean, there was at least 3 plays in the late 60s and the 70s that would have been on it if they were looking at the whole history of the Cincinnati Bengals. So it was kind of interesting. Again, it's probably a younger person, right? Kind of looking back on some things, but it was good. It was a really good list, great list. But man, that's the stuff we're going to be bringing to you guys. Some history stuff in the 80s and 70s and even late 60s that, and even we'll hit the 90s. There was a few bright spots we hit on during that. I know we had on Jeff Blake not too long ago talking about the 90s with him. So, all right, Jamie. Anything in the chat, or we want to go right to our question of the week?
Oh, yeah, let's get the chat going here, guys. We got some good comments from the history segment, but let's get some comments here in the chat for the question of the week. What do you think are our biggest strengths and weaknesses? What about you, Jim?
Yeah, actually, before I make a comment on that, one thing I forgot to do, if you remember last week, I've got a huge room and a closet full of Bengal history here. And that game, that 1988 opening day game against the Phoenix Cardinals, these are 2 tickets to that game. So I couldn't find anything specific to that game other than game tickets. I was not there. These are just part of my collection. These are 2 tickets to that opening day of 1988. So
that's awesome.
Marissa hit it real good. I mean, as positive as she is, right? I mean, I think she made a great comment about, hey, 8-8. And the reason why, in my opinion, is because there's just so many. We just added a bunch of damn good ball players to the team, but it's their first time with a new coaching staff with new players. I personally think, in my opinion, I still think now. I think this coaching staff feels differently than I do, and they know more about this than I do. But I have coached football for 20 years. I still feel uncomfortable top to bottom, not maybe the up end, but the depth top to bottom that we have on our offensive line, guys. I personally believe that is our weakness. Now, if Jonah Williams comes back, which it looks like he's going to be healthy, but he hasn't taken a snap in the NFL before. But this guy's a stud. He's legit. He is a starting left tackle in the NFL. You got Billy Price now, who at the end of the day has become a backup in the middle of that offensive line. I know he's been working out and trying to figure out what his issues were. Man, if he gets first round draft pick, he needs to step up and contribute more than he has. And I'm still, was it Johnson at right tackle and Bobby Hart? Those are the 2 battling there. Guys, I don't know, man. I just feel uncomfortable with that offensive line. I think what Joe Burrow brings to the table, his elusiveness and being able to move the pocket and run, and I think that's going to help. Maybe they're not as bad as I think they're going to be. I'm sorry, they're not going to be bad. If I had to pick a weak spot, because Jamie put me in the spot with that one. I do think our biggest weakness right now potentially is that offensive line. And I'll tell you, as far as our strength, I love the depth at our skill position on offense. And here I'm staying on offense. And our biggest issue last year, in my opinion, was defense. But I mean, the depth that we have now at receiver through that draft, in running back position, we're stacked at the skill position players, in my opinion. So strengths, skill position players, and a weaknesses right now. If I had to pick one, I feel slightly uncomfortable with that offensive line at this point.
Yeah, this is kind of this is a little bit of a softball question of the week, because I think most people are going to agree that our weakness is the offensive line. And I'm sorry, I hate to say this because I know he's a hometown guy, but I think Billy Price is a bust. Sorry, I mean, he's had enough time now to show what he's got. He hasn't shown it. Jonah Williams, again, hasn't played a snap yet, but I'm excited about that, so we'll see what happens. And you're right. I mean, what are the Bengals going to say? Of course, they're going to come out and say they feel good about it. But it is the one thing I don't think they really addressed. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I think that's definitely, until we see something, until we see Williams take a snap, until we see the battles in training camp, that's going to be the weakness, because it was such a huge hole last year. I agree with you, Jimmy. The strengths, man. Like, and look at our. I mean, quarterback. You got Joe Burrow coming in. I don't think anyone feels he's not going to be successful in the NFL. I mean, he shows that he's going to be an NFL quarterback. You got our receiving core. You got Green, Boyd, Higgins. I mean, we're stacked. You got Mixon running the ball. We got depth, like you said, man. So on offense, we're going to put up a lot of points. I just hope that we can keep Burrow healthy. The last thing I want to see is Burrow go down with an injury because the line's not protecting him. That's going to be the worst thing I can get to see. Let's go to chat. Here we go. Biggest strength, I think, defense, all the free agents. Yeah, Marissa said that too. She said she thinks we're the best defense, if not, top 5 at NFL, number 1 in the AFC. So
yeah, and actually, Sports with Strawberry Ice, he's got a great podcast as well, guys. Follow him, diehard Cincinnati guy as well. Good dude. To his point, I mean, that defensive line, man, that defensive line is going to be legit. With the linebackers that we just picked up, I'm just all about these 3 linebackers they drafted. And you don't typically see 3 linebackers being drafted in the draft by a team. I'm telling you guys, all 3 of these linebackers are legit. If they can stay healthy, stay on the field, all 3 of these linebackers will contribute in some way, shape, or form. They will contribute. They're legit. And I'm excited about that. And I think our secondary is even better with the pickups we got.
Yep.
And Dre being gone.
Paul says, and again, this is where the 8-8 comes from, I think, from Marissa, because we're coming off 2-14, so everyone's going to have to be a little apprehensive. So I'm feeling Paul here. Yes, Jim, on paper, they look good. They've yet to put it together on the field. This is the time we're going to have to prove it. John Paul Blankenship, facts on the O-line. We're talking about the O-line being the weakness. He agrees. Chris, I agree totally with you, Jim. Let's see here. Well, Strawberry Ice.
Joe freaking Burrow, baby. Heck yeah. We don't need an offensive line, man. We're good. We just put a couple more receivers out there.
Yeah, so, I mean, just looking at the chat here, obviously, I think everybody feels – I think we agree it's the offensive line. I mean, it was our biggest weakness last year, bar none. And really, nothing's been done. Nothing's been done to address it, except we have some injuries coming back. We have Williams coming back. But like you said, hasn't played a snap yet. So
yeah, I think the one thing I slightly disagree with you on, I think our biggest issue last year was defense. They were horrific.
Yeah.
I mean, they were absolutely horrific. And the linebacking core was probably I don't have the statistics in front of me.
Yeah.
But they were probably the worst linebacking unit in the NFL. That's why this was being addressed in free agency. That's why it was being addressed in the draft. And one theme you're going to see if you're going to compete in the AFC North with Lamar Jackson at quarterback in Baltimore and the clown up in Cleveland quarterback, and you need guys that can cover people, and you need guys that can move. And every one of these linebackers they picked up have speed and coverage ability, and they're legit. So I am excited to see everything happen. This damn COVID-19 needs to go to hell away. Make sure we wear a mask. Let's do the right things, because man, oh man, they're already kicking a couple looks like preseason games. They're kicking off the schedule here, and I just don't want the spikes to continue to increase on that, because man, I have not been this excited about a football season for Cincinnati in decades.
Yeah, it's definitely there's definitely some excitement in the air. One of the things I was gonna just talk about, you had mentioned how the secondary was a weakness. I'm so happy to see that we've moved on for some of these guys like Drake Kirkpatrick. Fan favorite. I know the fans love them, but yeah, man, it's not good. I mean, it's just, I'm just glad to see that Zach came in and got a chance to put the touches on the roster. I think that he wanted to make in the first year, but didn't want to. You know what I mean? Didn't want to come in and get an assessment, right? That first year, I give them that assessment year, and we'll see what happens. Jimmy, I know we want to keep on time as much as we can, but there's a couple of good questions in the chat.
Sure. Yeah, throw them up.
I mean, we're on a network television. There's no commercials that we have to play.
We don't have to worry about sponsors. We're good.
Yeah. So, season ticket holders got the email last week from Katie Blackburn talking about. That they're obviously going to follow guidelines and see how everyone's comfortable. Chris is asking, so do you guys think we're still going to have a season with fans? Got the email from Katie Blackburn. Now, you also saw the league talking about tarping off the first, I don't know how many rows, but the bottom
8, yeah.
section, yeah. And then you saw Davis come out with the Raiders just completely against that, obviously coming in a new stadium in Vegas. But what do you think, Jimmy? I honestly don't think there's going to be fans.
It doesn't matter what you and I think because we don't know, and we can only speculate and guess. I have to err on the side. We're going to be in that damn stadium somehow, some way, on a positive perspective. But to your point, and the email that Chris is talking about here that came from the Bengals organization, signed by Katie Blackburn, was freaking first class. It was just a really awesome email. And the thing that I like what's going on with the organization now, over the past few years, and again, in my opinion, it's more Katie and Troy getting more involved and getting things where they need to be. But the clarity and communication that they're providing to the fan base has been outstanding. You could tell in her letter, in that email, hey, this sucks, but here's what we have to do. Let's all do the right thing. So right now, Chris, I don't know if there's going to be fans in the stands or not. I think there will be. Some positive things are happening. I know we're seeing spikes in certain areas. I think we're going to be there. I have to feel and believe that's going to happen, that we're going to be in the stands. And I don't know what's going to happen at the end of the day. Nobody does. I don't know. Nobody. If anybody on the news comes out and says, or anybody on social media says there's not going to be anybody in the stands, or there is going to be people, nobody knows today. And I think over the next 3 or 4 weeks, I think we'll have a lot more clarity on what's going to happen with that question for sure. So, well, go ahead and you anything else you wanted to throw up there? Or?
Maybe maybe I was going to say we had I messed up. Never mind.
It's okay. No, they actually just kind of just want to thank everybody. Actually, Jamie, go ahead and do your closing comments, and I'll kind of close out the show.
Well, I was going to add a new banner. Maybe we can just do this.
Can you imagine us having like one of those little crystal balls and just my face behind? Let's do it. That's going to happen. That's going to be one of our segments.
So closing comments. I was a little sad because I didn't get the email from Katie, because I actually let go of my tickets this year, which was a tough decision. But as you know, I drive down from Ontario, Canada, so we get down to about, I'd say we have five games we come down for. We try and sell the rest. It was not easy to sell last year, that's for sure. But yeah, because we bought a business here up in Ontario that was going to keep us really busy. We're in the wedding business with an event hall, so I had weddings booked pretty much every weekend. So getting away this year was going to be difficult. So we let our tickets go this year, but I am happy to see that the team is really, not only the social media has stepped up, not only the stuff Marissa was talking about with the studio and all the different things that they're doing. That cigar video that they released with Burrow was freaking mint. I mean, if you watch that and you didn't get the hairs on your back standing up, then I don't think you're not a Bengals fan. Sorry, you're just not.
Not everybody has hair on their back, James.
Well, okay, fair ball.
I'm just
fair ball. I mean, if it didn't get you excited, how about that?
There you go.
You're not a Bengals fan, in my opinion. But no, I think just my parting comment is going to be, I'm just really excited to see, and I don't know what changed, but I'm really excited to see that the Bengals really seem to be becoming a fan-centric organization. I think they're starting to really treat the fans with the respect I think the fans deserve. The communication's been amazing. People like Marissa, of course, I'm the president and CEO of the Marissa Contipelli fan club, the Canadian and American chapter, by the way. I own both.
It's the North American.
North American. Our friends from Mexico and the UK, they can start their own chapters. I'm cool with that. I won't make the meetings. The time zones are too much, but I run the North American division. But no, seriously though, Jimmy, I think what this team is doing with the fans is amazing. I hope it continues, and this is an exciting time to be a Bengals fan. And I'm like you. I hope there's fans in the audience. If not, I mean, I'm ready to watch the games every Sunday. I'm ready to do virtual tailgates with you guys. I'm ready to have some fun, but I want to play ball. I want to watch our team, and I want to go on. I want to see us go above 500. I want to see us in a wild card spot in the playoffs. I want to see Joe freaking Burrow.
That's right, brother. Yeah, that's a great point. Great point. So closing for me, I just want, first of all, James, who is usually on the show with us, being out of town in upstate New York, had some serious connection issues. He's been working on most of the evening trying to get on. So James apologizes. I think he's been in the chat thread with us a few times, saying he's missing the show. James adds a hell of a lot to the show. We missed him. Jamie and I missed him on the show tonight. So you'll see James back on the show next week. So I want to thank everybody who tuned in again, and even the people that actually watch post live events on Facebook and YouTube. Share these as much as you can. I think our numbers are growing on Facebook and Facebook, Twitter, and our YouTube channel. So we appreciate everybody being involved with that. Be safe. Wear your mask if you're going out. If you're going to be close to folks, make sure you're wearing your mask. Congratulations to Chris and Nick. Chris won the contest that we have, Marissa Contipelli, guessing her favorite athlete. So Chris will get a Sunday Night Football Bengal Jim and Friends shirt and a mask. And I'm sorry, she gets the Bengal blow-up helmet, and Nick, who the koozie, gets the shirt and the mask. So congratulations, guys, on that. A couple other quick things. We have our podcast. What we're doing is kind of ripping off the sound off of our live cast that we're doing, that we're posting on Facebook and YouTube. We're taking those audios and putting them on YouTube. So we're up and running. I'm sorry, on a podcast on Podbean. So it is up and running right now. I think we've only posted one episode. Probably the next 2 or 3 days we'll have every one of them. We've had, I think this is our 8th or 9th episode, not counting draft night and post-draft night. So this is our 8th or 9th episode. They will all be up and running. Right now, the Ken Anderson episode is up on Podbean. It's under Bengal Jim's Tailgate, I think is what we have it under.
BengalGyms.podbean.com. But we'll throw a link up on all the socials. We should have everything up, by end of day Monday or Tuesday. We'll have this episode up pretty much right away, and then all of our past episodes up there as well. So
it's pretty funny because my wife and I were driving around yesterday, and I was just playing around with Podbean and kind of synced it to my car, and I can see I listen to some of those different podcasts in the car as well, but to kind of a lot of times we're doing a lot of visual things here with videos that we're showing, but it still worked out great. Kind of know what's going on. So we're going to give it to you live. You're going to be able to watch the taped play on Facebook and YouTube, and you're going to be able to watch or listen to it at any point in time on our podcast moving forward. So keep an eye out for our social media post, and if you're able to start sharing those and following and subscribing to those, that'd be great. And again, I'd like to thank my partner in crime here, the North American president of Marissa Contipelli's fan club, and he's taken applications for our vice president. Obviously, AJ, our fan of the week. It did not want that job. Did not want the responsibility, obviously, of that job. So
smoke a cigar with AJ at the tailgate.
That's right. That's right. Well, guys, too funny. Well, guys, we thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate it. We'll see you next week. We'll be back to I don't want to name who the player is going to be, but we will have a player back on next week, and we appreciate you. And thank you to everybody. Hoo day, guys.
Hoo day.